Hey everybody, this is Squirtly. So, about Neonectar. I guess you haven't really gotten any updates on that deck recently. Well, that's not Neonectar. But, today, kind of unexpectedly, I was asked if I would trade my Neonectar Sephiroth deck for a Vermilion the Blood deck. So, I did it, mainly because Celestials do the same thing as Sephiroth. I kept my SP Maiden, since he had a fourth of his own that he could put in, but I now have a Vermilion the Blood deck, something I never thought I would end up having, but yeah, so I guess I'm going to do a deck profile of that now. First off is the starter, of course, Lizard Soldier Saishin. His skill is when he boosts a Narukami and it hits. It's pretty holographic right there. When he boosts a Narukami and it hits, you can counterblast one and put him in your soul. And when it hits when an attack hits a Vanguard in the battle that he boosted a Narukami, you counterblast one and put him in your soul to retire one of your opponent's grade 0 Rugards. So this is really only good very early game, but it can kill off threatening starters. Grade 3 searchers, it can kill off things like Officer Cadet Astria. Leonard would know that very well. Dusttail Unicorns, stuff like that you don't want to be on the field. You can just kill it off when you ride grade 1 or 2 and start attacking. Or grade 2, rather, so that you have damage to counterblast. So that is, that's the starter. I like him more than the others that I've got right now. I did change the deck up a bit from when I got it, but just with stuff I had. Literally, I've worked on this deck for one day, not even that, like a couple of hours. So, but this deck really is to the point where I like it. So, then for grade 3s, we've got 4 Dragonic Kaiser Vermilion. He is a Limit Break 4. His skill, it's Counterblast 3. It's an act skill. You Counterblast 3, and until the end of the turn, he gains plus 2,000 power, and he battles every unit in your opponent's front row at once, and they have to guard for each of them individually. And they cannot intercept, because you can't intercept with a unit that's being battled. So, unless your opponent wants to drop a lot of shield, you're basically retiring their 2 front row units. And gaining plus 2,000 for Counterblast 3, and preventing them from intercepting. So that's very nice skill. It's not what I would prefer to be using my Counterblasts on, but it's still good. Then his other skill is that whenever you have a non-Narukami Vanguard or Rearguard, he gets minus 2,000. So, not really a problem, because you're running an all Narukami deck anyway. So yeah, got 4 of him. And then I have 3, Dragonic Kaiser Vermilion the Blood, which is a cross ride of Vermilion. So he gains plus 2,000 and becomes a 13k base during your turn and your opponent's turn if you have Vermilion in your soul. His skill is Limit Break 5, kind of a powered up version of Vermilion's skill, where he gains plus 5 plus 1 crit, and he battles all of your opponent's units in the front row. So, it takes an extra damage, but for the same cost you get a much better skill. So this is what I'd prefer to be using those counterblasts on. And that's it for the grade 3s, actually. Only 7 of them. So that moves us on to grade 2s, where I run 4 Dusty Plasma Dragon. He is the 12k attacker for the Vermilion. God, that focus is really weird. So yeah, he gains +3 if you have a Vermilion Vanguard. So I mean, you always have a Vermilion Vanguard. Like, literally always have a Vermilion Vanguard, unless you got grade locked. So it's just a strong, consistent attacker that you can just keep calling down, and for no cost you're swinging for big numbers. He'll never hit above 20, but I mean, you can hit 18 easily with him. So he forces a decent amount of shield from any deck. And then we have 3 Thunderstorm Dragoon, the 10k vanilla. He's just a 10k vanilla. Normally I like to run 4 of these things, but 3 in this deck works fine. He's a good ride for grade 2, just to have a solid defense against your opponent. I mean, if they have a 9k Vanguard, then you've only got to drop 10 to no pass them. So that works pretty well. And he's a good rearguard attacker. I mean, 10 makes 18 with the 8k vanilla. And we've got 3 Demonic Dragon Berserker Garuda. He is the damage unflipper for Narukami. When he hits a Vanguard, you can unflip a damage. This is actually the preferred ride at grade 2, because you can attack with him, and if you hit, you can counterblast 1 for your starter's skill to retire their starter, and then you unflip the damage with Garuda's skill because he hit. So it gives you a free 1-for-1 retire if you can ride and hit with him. And it encourages people to block against him, which is forcing more cards out of their hand early. So, yeah, good stuff. I like him. He's a 9k, so he's still not a bad rearguard at all. And then this is something that I added in today, which I am absolutely loving, is 2 Dragon Dancer Julia. She, A, she's hot, but B, she's a 7k, but whenever you call her to Vanguard or Rearguard, then you can look at the top card of your deck, and if it's a grade 1 or 2 Narukami, you can call it to rear. And if it's not, then you just put it back in your deck and shuffle. So, I mean, yeah, very solid. It gives you a free card just for calling it most of the time. And, I mean, you only run 7 grade 3s, so that lowers the chance of hitting one of those a little bit. And, I mean, even if you replace her with the card you call, then you still didn't lose anything in the process. So she's a very solid plussing card. And the 7k a lot of times doesn't matter, because if you hit something good, you can just call it as a booster behind her. Or just flat out replace her with it. The grade 1 lineup here is what I struggled with the most, just because I didn't find Narukami to have all that many good grade 1s. I run 4 Red River Dragoon, the 8k vanilla. He's an 8k vanilla. He's a solid ride, especially now with all the archetype decks running around that don't have 8ks. So, if you can ride him, then, once again, drop a 10k, and you no-pass your opponent when they're attacking your grade 1 with their grade 1. So that's pretty solid. And, he's a good booster. 8,000 boost is nothing to laugh at all. Then I have 3 Vanguard Gould. One of the few decks I don't run 4 Perfect Guards in. Got one of the old one back there. Ooh, that was a lot of glare. But the Vanguard Gould, he's a perfect guard. I only run 3 because this deck, it doesn't really generate a huge hand on its own. I do have draw triggers for that, but it just doesn't generate a hand on its own. So a lot of times you don't have the stuff to discard. Yeah, a lot of times you're just holding your hand to attack your opponent and make good columns, there's not very often you're going to have anything that you can really discard for them. And when you do, you're probably just better off guarding with it anyway. But there are 3 in here for the times that you do need them, which are, of course, often in nowadays metagame. But I found no problems with not running a 4th one today. Now, if I had a 4th one, there's the other thing, I only actually have 3 as well right now. If I did have a 4th one, I would probably drop something for it, but 3 works fine. But yes, I would run a 4th if I had a 4th. Then we have Photon Bomber Wyvern. He is the 10k booster for Narukami. And he's very consistent as well, considering the only condition is that your opponent has 3 or more damage. So at any point past like turn 3, he is boosting for a lot. I mean, 28,000 to crit with Vermilion the Blood is just scary when it's at the front row. So yes, two of him. Then we've got 2 Lightning of Hope Helena, because drop to draw is good. I mean, not much else to say about it. When she boosts an attack that hits, you can discard a card from your hand and draw a card. So if you need something better in your hand, or you've got an extra Vermilion or something and you don't have a perfect guard to kill it with, then you can just throw it away and hope to draw something better. We've got 2 Desert Gunner Ryan. This guy's really just in here because there aren't many better options that I have. When you call him, you can choose one of your opponent's rear guards and it cannot intercept, which is actually pretty useful. I mean, obviously not on the turn you limit break, but it is pretty useful for other times to prevent your opponent from just like intercepting one rear guard away to save the other, if there's a rear guard that you really want to kill off, or not letting them intercept with one, so that if they have to intercept, they have to do it with the one you want to get rid of. So it's pretty good for forcing rear guards to go away. And then you got Rising Phoenix. It's a 5,000 Soul Blast 2 to draw a card. I only run 1 because you literally will never use more than 1. The only way to have enough soul, the only way to have 4 soul to blast is rewriting a grade, which is kind of useless, except for the cross ride, since you will probably rewrite that grade. But you don't want to soul blast Vermilion and get rid of the 13k base. So I only run 1. It's there for when you need it. Most of the time you don't, but it is there when you draw into it. You can just drop it and drop it, Soul Blast 2 and draw a card. Because nothing uses soul in this deck, so. Yep. And then we have, for triggers, 7 crit. Let me see if I can actually get this focused back down there. There we go. 7 critical triggers. 4 of the Malevolent Gen, which you can move into your soul to give plus 3,000 to something. And 3 Yellow Gem Carbuncles, which are just vanilla triggers. Then we have 5 draw triggers, all of which are vanilla, because I think that's all Narukami has right now anyway. They help you build up a hand. That's really the only way you're getting hand with this deck is draw triggers, so yeah. And then 4 heal triggers. They're just a regular heal trigger, not Eradicator. But I'm actually going to have to wrap this up real quick. I got like 20 seconds because YouTube time limit shenanigans. But yep, long story short, Neonectars are gone until Reverse comes out, when I'm going to rebuild Neonectar. Just a different deck. And now I've got Vermilion the Blood. So that's my The Blood deck, and I will see you guys later. Bye!